And we are live. Guys, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Let's Talk Fishing video podcast. My name is Jay Angel. I'm going to be your podcaster for this evening. Tonight, I have a guy. I'm glad I met this guy, man. He lives about 30 miles from my house. And we're already talking about going fishing together. And you know that's why I do this, because I love to fish with these guys and go out there and try some new things. And going to Venice, Louisiana, how much fun is that? But anyways, enough of me. I'm my guest, Logan Latuso. How you doing tonight, Logan?
Good, Jay. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for coming out. One thing I forgot to say, that's no small feat. Logan is also a Bassmaster Elite Series competitor. Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And aren't you like 31 years old?
I'll be 31 in a couple of days. Yep.
31 in a couple. Yep. Congratulations, man. That is no small feat, you know.
Thank you.
That is, guys, I don't even know how hard that is because I've never fished a Bassmaster Open. Probably never. No, I never will either. I'm just too old, too sick, my body's broken. But Logan, 31 years old in a couple days, already fishing the Bassmaster. Man, we have all kinds of comments already, Logan.
That's good.
Yeah, let me clear out some of these so I can get to them. Okay, Roy Widgeon from USA Kayak Fishing Magazine said Delta Lures all my. He said hello. And Cajun Rob Fishing. Cajun Rob is a podcaster, does a podcast called Co-Angler Corner with John Stoutinger. And he said Logan is an absolute stick. Great guest.
Try to catch every bass I can.
Oh, yeah, that's what it's all about, man. It's all about having fun catching fish. And as long as you remember that, I tended to do better when I was fishing tournaments. It just seemed like that every time I thought I was a great fisherman, I got humbled.
Fishing is a very humbling sport.
Yeah.
One day you're on top of the world, next day it feels like you want to sell everything you got. But that's the joys about fishing.
Yes. Roy just asked kayak or a boat. Well, you know, Roy, he fishes the Bassmaster Elite Series, so he fishes out of a boat. What do you fish out of, Logan?
I run a Bass Cat Era with a Suzuki 250 SS on the back.
Okay. I knew you had a nice boat if you fished the Elite Series. But, you know, my first question for you, okay, this guy, born and raised in southern Louisiana, where try to find water greater than 10 feet deep. And it's all dirty water because of the Mississippi. So you go up north where the water's all deep and clear. How do you adjust to that?
Yeah, you know, being down here, if we seen clear water, we ran away from it. Like we just didn't fish clear water down here. The dirtier the water down south, the better the fishing was. I've never been smallmouth fishing. I've never been up north in my entire life until last year, which was my first year on the Elite Series. I kind of had to adapt, so I just tried to do as much research and learn as much about it as I could, and just accepted the fact that when I got there, you could see a beer can 20 foot down on the bottom. Just kind of accepted the fact, dealt with it, and just. But I had a lot of fun last year. I caught, you know, smallmouth were intriguing to me. They were different. We don't have them down here, so it was fun. I learned a lot, and I'm still learning a lot. But I do enjoy fishing up north.
Well, let me ask you this. Did you ever hook into a smallmouth bass, you're bringing it in, and you see 6 of its friends trying to grab that lure out of its mouth?
Oh, yeah. Smallmouth they're cool. They travel around in like little wolf packs together. If you catch a 3-pounder, they all 3 pounds. If you catch a 6-pounder, they all 6 pounds. It's crazy. You know, like me and you talked about earlier, down here you fish for one fish like every half mile, it seems like. And then up there, it's like you can get on one boulder and they'll have 25 pounds on one boulder that you can catch in 5 drops. It's a pretty incredible fishery up north for smallmouth.
That's the first thing I noticed about down here. My dad, well, I don't even remember what year it was, but my father moved to the Harris Lake chain on Lake Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
And I was ecstatic. I'm like, Dad, I'm coming down. He said, when are you coming down? Tomorrow. So, you know, he had barely even gotten his boat in the water. I was already there. and we were fishing the Harris Chain. And I looked around. And this all looks like it's bass heaven. Where do you fish?
Florida.
Because you know what I'm used to, man. They're just,
yeah, like Florida, everything looks fishy, which I guess you could say that around here too. But everything in Florida, Louisiana, anything looks fishy. Like they look like they got a bass everywhere, but it's not. It's crazy.
oh yeah, you look at the cypress tree, and there's 500 knees underneath it, and it's got a big old cave in the middle of that big old cypress tree. I feel like if I skip a wacky rig into that cave, sometimes there's a fish in it.
Right. It should be one in it every time.
It looks like it, but up north they just don't have that much structure. If you find a rock pile, you're right. There could be 25 pounds of fish on that.
Right. Yep. And I guess that's the thing too. There might be less structure, less cover up there for. That's why they kind of all on it. But yeah, down here, structure and cover, it's we don't like it.
Yeah, it's all there. It's all there. Tad Mays just checked in, said, "Hey guys."
How are you, Tad?
That's Tad of
Crush It Gel. Got some good stuff.
Yeah, Crush It Gel, man. Crush It Gel. I can't wait to use that stuff. I have some on its way. Neil Lambert just checked in. Awesome Logan Latuso.
Uncle Neil.
So where else did you fish? Have you fished up north?
I really never really went up north except for the last year on the Elite Series and this year. So last year we fished Champlain, St. Clair, and St. Lawrence. And this year we fished Champlain and St. Lawrence. We only had 2 of them. And next year we go back to St. Clair that we went to the first year. And we got La Crosse, Wisconsin that I'm really looking forward to, which is the upper end of the Mississippi River.
I have fished La Crosse so many times. I love that place. Gosh, it's just Frog City, man. Frog City, you know. But 90% of the time,
it's the Mississippi River, so looking forward to it.
But that Mississippi River is nothing like the Mississippi River down here. It's actually, most of the time, it's almost clear water. And, you did a lot of frogging up there. I did a lot of wacky rigging because I was standing in the back of the boat most of the time. But a guy can catch smallmouth bass or largemouth bass there.
Right. Oh, yeah, it's full of all species.
But the problem there, you throw some of the stuff, and I'm sure you experienced this. There are also northern pike and muskies.
I've yet to catch a muskie. I've caught a bunch of pike. Everywhere we've been, I've yet to catch a muskie.
You didn't catch any pike?
I never caught.
You didn't catch any muskies on St. Clair?
Nope. I caught pike.
I mean, I realize you weren't fishing for them, but man, yeah. I have friends who guide that lake, and one of them just sent me a picture of a 54-inch muskie that one of his customers caught.
Yeah, I don't know what I'd do if I hooked into that.
He said, some guy said, is Logan planning on fishing the new EQ series? The 3 events he's shown can catch them in the fall at Sam Rayburn event.
Yeah, so that Bassmaster just come out with the new open schedule today. I don't know if y'all aware of. So they got 2 divisions, 4 tournaments on each side. The top 50 in each division qualify for the EQs, which would be 3 divisions in the fall of 2025. But the Elite Series are allowed to fish the 3 EQs that would be in the fall. So, yeah, I mean, seeing where they at, they ain't came out with a schedule yet, but I'll probably try to fish them. I like fishing tournaments. I'll come on fish club tournaments. I like fishing Elite Series tournaments. I like to fish as many tournaments as I possibly can. So, yeah, there's a good chance I'll probably fish them next year.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Cloteal cast. Thank you. Sorry, I had a hard time saying that word. Okay, so, man, so when you're down here fishing the lower Atchafalaya Basin, how do you target fish in the shallow water as opposed to what you did up north?
Like we talked about earlier, down here in South Louisiana, the muddier the water, the better for me. If there's clear water or black water, I stay away from it. In the springtime, you can go in some of them clear water canals and catch some spawning fish, but I normally try to stick around the muddier water. Fish are just used to it, accustomed to it down here. Like in the basin, I mean, it's pretty much two baits you can throw all year. It's a Delta Lure Thunder Jig, like in the black and blue with the orange blade. Anything like that
Okay.
around 6 degrees is good. Um, and another one is the same Delta Lure Thunder Jig, gold blade with like a little boot tail on it.
Wow.
Those two Thunder Jigs, it's a vibrating jig around any type of cypress tree and muddy water. The more you get into the summer, the more current you want to be around. Going into the fall now, they kind of getting out the current, going back into the canals, and then of course in the springtime they'll be in the dead ends. But those two baits right there are probably two baits that I probably throw the most of down here in the lower Chapalaya Basin.
So when would you use a finesse presentation down here?
Well, my finesse might be a little different. I really don't throw wacky worms much, but like if I go to a finesse, it'll be to more like a Delta Lure swim jig, like a 1/4 ounce.
Okay.
Something with not a whole lot of vibration, something a little more subtle. If everybody's throwing spinner baits and thunder jigs or vibrating jigs with a bunch of vibration, down here I finesse with something more subtle or flip a missile baits 48 a Cinco style bait, something like that. I do that a lot of down here when it gets pressure.
See, that's my favorite, man. I had Derek Hudnall from Central.
Right.
I guess he's from I guess he lives in Zachary now. I had him on. He taught me how to skin hook a wacky worm.
Yeah,
And
Dan's probably a lot better at wacky rigging than me. I'll give him that.
That increased my hook sets.
Yeah.
And I have fished wacky worms for 20 years, man.
Right.
I mean, I started wacky worming back when the only thing you could use is a Zoom trick worm.
Yep. Oh yeah, that wacky rig probably catches more bass than anything now. That's crazy.
There were nights when I was guiding back in northern Illinois. That's all I had to use, just set up my two customers on wacky worms and just go down the riprap shorelines and catch bass all night long.
Oh yeah, it's a fish catching bait, that's for sure.
And that is my favorite structure for bass is a riprap shoreline. There's so many things you can do on it.
Yep. Ripraps are fun. We just don't have a whole lot of them down here, so I don't have a whole lot of experience with ripraps.
Well, I bet you when you go to Alabama, you do.
Oh yeah. Well, but the only experience is the Red River, like around Shreveport area. It's full of riprap from around the Shreveport area. We got a lot of riprap on the Red River.
I bet you catch fish on that too.
Oh yeah. Everyone you pull up on, you'll catch something.
Throw that square bill, just ruin those bills on that riprap. That's what I tell people. Ruin those bills.
Yep. It got to be hitting the bottom.
And up north, we use the shad wraps. I think the shad wrap is the best cold water crankbait there is.
Yeah. I've heard that.
Go ahead.
I said I've heard that. I've never got to experience much cold water cranking. And when it gets cold down here, we'll just throw bigger 1/2 ounce spinner baits with just big Colorado blades, double Colorado blades to slow the spinner bait down. But yeah, I've heard the shad wraps are really good cold water crankbait.
You just don't crank it as fast. Just
yeah.
And I like, man, crank it down until it hits, then just
right.
Keep it on that. Man, so much fun. So much fun. Because on riprap, you never know if you're going to hit a smallmouth or a largemouth.
Yeah, that's probably the exciting part about it.
Yeah, and you don't know if they're going to be, or big fish.
Right.
You just don't know. It's just so much fun. So Venice, Louisiana, we were talking about that. Guys, Venice is literally the edge of the world. That's where all the roads stop. And it's... Why don't you tell the folks about the wagon wheel? We
I
just
lost
had
you
a
a little bit
technical
there.
glitch there. Okay. Hey, Logan, are you back?
You
Yeah. Why don't you tell the folks
I hear you now.
about the wagon wheel?
Yeah, so the wagon wheel in Venice, in my time frame, I've heard stories that used to
I'm
be
going to
great.
try this again. Why don't you tell the folks about the wagon wheel?
Yeah, so my time frame in Venice, it's been shallow, but I've talked to several guys that fished it for years before me and said it used to be great fishing. And there's still some good fishing in the wagon wheel, but it's silted in a lot. It's really shallow fishing. You pretty much got to you better know where you're going when you're going through it.
Oh, goodness. This is a little worse than it usually is. Okay, Logan, can you hear me? Until this, so I'm just waiting until this. Okay, you can hear me. Okay, I've been trying to ask this question for about 2 minutes now. Okay,
I think I got.
Let's see if we can do this.
Keep freezing up.
Let's see if we can do. Let's see if we can do.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Let's try to. How do you fish for bass down the Venezuela? Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Hello, Jay. You got me?
Okay. I'm not going to give up. Okay, let's talk.
You keep breaking up. I can't hear you, Jay.
Okay, Venice, Louisiana. Venice, Louisiana. Yeah, the hurricane must be.
Yeah, something ain't right. It was working good earlier. Still there, Jay?
Okay, let's see. Okay, Logan, are you there? Can you hear me? Come on, add it to stage. Add it to stage.
Got me now?
Okay, looks like we might be back. Can you hear me?
I hear you now.
Okay, good.
Must have been some technical difficulties.
Oh, good Lord, that was horrible.
I'm bad luck with technology.
I do apologize about that. Just StreamYard is the best we got right now. Kind of like Facebook. If they had a viable alternative, I'd switch today.
Right.
But anyways, we were talking. I was trying before I was so rudely interrupted. I was trying to talk to you about Venice, Louisiana. Could you explain what the wagon wheel is?
I mean, from what I know with the wagon wheel now, in my time frame in Venice, there is still some good fishing in there, but you better know where you're going. It's pretty shallow. I heard from guys like Fred and Dave, a couple older guys than me, that the fishing used to be really good there, but the siltation done kind of took over the wagon wheel, so that area got pretty shallow and treacherous. So you better know where you're going, but there's still plenty of good fishing down in Venice.
Yeah. Now, is it true that the wagon wheel it's kind of a circular current?
Oh yeah, it looks like a big wagon wheel. It's like one big Doug canal with a bunch of little knockoffs, some wellheads in it, and marsh in between. And now I'm sure there's a lot more water than land from way back when. But yep, it looked like an old wagon wheel on the map.
And Crush It Gel so said that he has lost two skags there. So that's exactly what you said. You better be careful.
Yeah, I've ran straight across mud flats there, round one corner and it's solid mud for 40 yards, and ain't nothing you can do. Just keep going.
See, that scares me. That just scares me. And he said there's a lot of pipes under the water. That's what Crush It Gel just said.
A lot of pipe, a lot of underwater pipe, a lot of old broken down wellheads. Just like I said, the wagon wheel is treacherous now. It really is. It's shallow. You better know what you're doing and know where you're going. I mean, there's a lot of things that can go wrong in a hurry in the wagon wheel.
So are you flipping the Rozo canes?
So 90% of your fishing in Venice, like right now, the fish should be in the main passes. You flip like a half ounce to a 3/4 ounce weight with a missile bait D-bomb or like a Zoom speed crawl. Blue is really good, sapphire blue, because they eat a lot of crabs. So you pretty much flip that on a 65-pound braid and have fun, catch a lot of fish. You get in some of the ponds, you can throw spinner baits and thunder jigs and buzz baits and catch them that way as well. But Venice, 90% of the fish, the bass, live in the Rozo cane. They're not, they'll get eaten if they come out. There's a lot more fish bigger than them there. So they like to hide in the Rozo cane and just eat what comes by them. So, yeah, I'd say Venice, a lot of it is flipping Rozo cane, either with, punch jigs or just speed crawls or missile bait D-bombs, anything like that.
Okay, Clotilde Cass just said, I ran all the way around the wagon wheel, not knowing any better.
Can't see it, can't hit
it. Wow. That took, well, I guess he didn't know any better. So you just,
lucky.
Sometimes you get lucky. Just, I don't have good luck.
All right. Me either.
I mean, look at what just happened to my podcast. I just don't have good luck.
That might have been me too. I don't know.
Well, yeah, he could have been either of us, but I think just, there's that crazy storm going around, and
yeah. Let's just hope it keeps.
So, bass fishing in southern Louisiana. Boy, I don't even know how to pose this question. I've caught a lot of fish in the lower. I used to live in Morgan City and Patterson area,
right?
And I fished with a lot of guys down there who've lived down there. Their family lived down there for generations. They knew where the fish were. We would go out and fish, and I think 4 pounds is the biggest one I ever caught down there.
That's a big one, for sure.
But why don't you explain to the people why don't we get 8-pounders down there when they do in northern Louisiana?
I mean, you can go on for days about this topic. I think one of it is hurricanes. You can't control it. There's a lot you can't control, which is hurricanes, storms, bad water, dead fish. I think the other side might be sportsman or whatever, like people keeping, the bigger the better. Your limits. I think habitat. We don't have hydrilla. We don't have good, like everything around the spillway, which we got a camp at Pierre Park. So when I talk about where I'm from, it's Chattanooga Basin. You got a lot of siltation. You don't have the flow it used to have. You don't have the nutrients. You have places silting in. You don't have good hard bottom anymore. Then the hyacinth mats, that's taken over. And then when they spray them, it decays to the bottom, makes the bottom soft. I mean, you can go on and on about it. I mean, I just don't think. I don't think we'll ever have 10-pounders. I think Louisiana Department of Wildlife Fisheries can stock, but then if a hurricane comes, then it's so you can go a bunch of ways about it, but I don't think it's a controlled fishery where you can control what you're working with. You're kind of at the mercy of the basin, which is hard to do.
So every few years when a hurricane comes up, it pushes the salt water up into the bass habitat. And are you saying that kills bass?
So that kills bass. We got a camp on Graveyard Island in Bell River, and I fish Blind River a lot, which is by my house in Lake Maurepas. So the salt water does kill them, but like Lake Verret area got hit really hard with this last storm. So when the water comes up,
yes,
it goes swamp. All the leaves fall off tree, kill the oxygen, whatever. Then you get all that bad water in the swamp, and then it comes out into Bell River, into Lake Verret, into the Crackerhead, into the Cheremies. All that bad water with no oxygen kills all the fish. And I've seen numerous videos and pictures of dead fish down there. So yes, it's hard. You might not have a hurricane for 5 to 10 years. You might have one. They got one in the Gulf right now. They say it's going to Florida, but
and we just we just had one. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
and Idaho.
I think that conversation
Idaho was horrible,
depending who you ask.
Yeah, that was a loaded question. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's good. Everybody got different opinions on it.
That was really a loaded question, but I wanted the guys to know what we have to deal with down here.
Oh yeah.
But guys, if you look at a map of southern Louisiana and zoom in on it, just to see the thousands of miles of canals and ponds and lakes and waterways, it's all water. It's a beautiful thing, man. And I'm going to use this podcast, do everything I can do to try to improve that.
And
there's got to be some kind of solution.
Cliff Crochet got his Every Fish Matters banquet. All the fishermen come together as fishermen and raise money for South Louisiana to restock fish and fingerlings in the Atchafalaya Basin and Lake Verret and surrounding areas, which is better than nothing, which is good. And Cliff's doing a great job with it. Thank you, Cliff. But like I talked to Cliff a lot about it, and like he said, he wants his kids to have something to fish for one day down here. So, but it's like I said, it's kind of a two-way question. You want to stock it, but then a hurricane comes, so it's kind of never ending. It's just where we live.
Yeah, it really has to be stocked after the hurricanes.
Right.
Somebody just opened up another can of worms. He said the privately controlled areas don't help anything down here either. That's
yeah, that's another can of worms.
That's a whole can of worms right there. And the Louisiana Sportsmen's Coalition is fighting for that, Clotilde.
Right. Oh yeah, no doubt.
Old Lucas Ragusa is not going to let that go. Neither is Steve Rockweiler. None of those guys are going to let that go. Believe me, something is being done. Well, they're fighting tooth and nail for that. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Lucas. Thank you, Rockweiler, and everybody else.
Thank you, guys who donate your time, because these guys don't get paid to do that. Steve Kessler just said we have the same problems in eastern North Carolina with dead water, saltwater invasions, and tropical storms. So it's the same problem in all of our tidal estuaries. That the freshwater fish have a hard time, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, and they don't all die. I've always said some storms, the bigger fish live, the smarter fish live. They will not all die, but I think a lot of your population will die. And I mean, it kind of depends. I've never been to North Carolina, East North Carolina. I'm sure it's somewhat the same, but I'm sure it's somewhat as different as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to answer, but I know down here is the bad swamp water we get, that kills them.
One of the first things I noticed about marsh bass is they're fat. They're big around and they're mean.
Yep, they'll get just as round as they are long.
I just could not believe that. If you look at my profile picture on Facebook, I have a marsh bass that was caught in one of the bayous off of Lake Decade. Decade? I don't know how to pronounce that word.
Yeah, Decade.
And I couldn't believe it. We were fishing for bass. My buddy caught a real nice size red. So I put on this, the Mojo shrimp. I wanted to catch reds. My first cast, I catch a 3.5 pound, 15-inch, 3.5 pound. This big around.
It probably,
and of course, I put that 48 on its nose to make it look real cool, and that turned into. David Zambolio said, has Bass released the open schedule yet?
They have not. We were told it'll probably be released sometime in October. We got an open in like 2 weeks at Lake Hartwell. So it will probably be during that event or right after that event when they will release the 2025 open schedule.
Okay, I just got a text here from Fred King. You know him?
Tell Fred he better not burn them steaks.
Fred, you better not burn them steaks. If you want to randomly pick 2 or 3 people, I'll send tackle packs. Okay.
Perfect.
I'm going to pick the people who have commented the most. So Steve, please send me a Facebook Messenger. Clotilde Cast, please send me a Facebook Messenger. Please send me a text via Facebook Messenger. And I guess Joshua too. Since he said me. Oh, no, you having a problem?
He's starting to hang up on me. Yep, I got you now.
Okay, looks like we might be back. Boy, I tell you, I am sorry about this, Logan.
It's all good. Let me see.
I was looking so forward to this.
Yeah.
And you know, technical problems are the bane of my existence as a podcaster. So please, Joshua D34, Clotilde Cast, and Steve Kisser, please send me Facebook Messenger texts, and I will be happy to put you in contact with Delta Lures. And Fred King, thank you so much for that. I appreciate you, man. DeltaLures.com, guys. DeltaLures.com. Why don't you show those bladed jigs again?
Yeah, so this one is the one of my favorite basin ones. It's an orange bladed thunder jig. You can put some type of, missile bait, chunky D. I'm having trouble with the camera, or like a speed crawl.
Yeah.
Probably all-time favorite is the same deal. It's the Delta Shad skirt. It's a silicone skirt, and you can put like a boot tail style bait on it, gold blade as well. Like we were talking about finesse situations, like when I go to finesse, I go to more like the swim jig, which is a lot less thump, anything like that.
Sure.
I mean, they even got great spinner baits. I mean, this is probably the spillway special if you want to catch fish in the South Louisiana. Chartreuse blue and white rubber skirt with an orange kicker blade. I mean, that's very hard to beat. And probably one of my all-time favorites is the Houdini. It's a Houdini 3/8 ounce with copper blades, and copper blades really show up good in the water.
Boy, that looks like those old style. Remember the old style spinner baits when everybody was using the white spinner bait?
Yeah, the copper blades.
That copper.
And then they even got the buzz baits. This is more of I throw like a no skirt, like a toad style, where you could put a chunky D, a zoom horny toad, or anything like that. And then,
now, is that a saltwater swim bait that you just put up there?
That was a buzz bait, a freshwater buzz bait.
I mean, would you use that buzz bait down in the saltwater?
So down in the saltwater, they actually have a redfish thunder jig. It is a same vibrating jig with a matrix shad minnow on it for the redfish, and they also have a redfish spinner bait by Delta Lures. They got the same matrix shad.
Look at that lemon head.
Yep, lemon head, hard to beat. And then this one is a lighter wire for more vibration, and this one is actually a HD. HD is for the heavier, dutier wire, which won't feel the vibration as much, but it'll hold up to those big 40-pound bull heads that you catch in the Mississippi River down in Venice.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have to get you on some of that, Jay.
Oh, man, I'm looking forward to that. Crushed gel. I do not know how to pronounce the name of this lake. Lake Catatawachi?
Yeah. And if they ain't biting it, you can put the crushed gel in the back, leave a good scent trail. Might make them hold on to it a little bit longer.
Yeah,
might increase your hookup ratio. That's another thing to do if they nipping at your bait, or you just want to beat your buddy and back the boat, or want more bites. Try putting that crushed gel on it.
Anyways, Crushed Gel said that lake that you just said had several 10-pound plus bass caught in that area.
Catatawachi was a special
Catatawachi. Catatawachi.
Van Dam set the classic record there. I don't know if it's been broken or not yet, but yes, it was there. It was a special place. There were giants there. After the classic, whatever happened, the grass died and the fish went away. So
yeah,
the grass is back. The fish are back, but they're not as big yet. So
not yet.
They get back to that caliber of fish again, because that was a pretty incredible time.
Clotilde Cash just said redfish are the dumbest thing swimming. They'll eat anything.
No, they fun though. It don't matter what they eat.
Yeah,
frog, spinnerbait, flipping. It don't matter.
I tell you what, I come from up north where we don't have fish that are that. Maybe a salmon, but salmon fight completely different than a redfish. Redfish are just athletic, man. I would never say anything bad about them. I love them. And David Zimbolio said they need to come back with the egret spinnerbait with copper willow leaf blades.
They got them.
Get
in touch with Fred King. He'll hook you up with some copper willow, copper copper silver, copper gold, whatever you want. Any combination you want. You can go to deltalures.com and pretty much build anything you want.
And Joshua, AD34, said, which tournament is Logan looking forward to the most next season?
You know, I'd have to say the Sabine because it's the closest, but probably North Carolina just because nobody's been there or haven't been there in a very long time. And it's tidal and it's a lot like, you know, I feel like Louisiana, Venice. So, you know, one of those I think would fit my strong suit. But, you know, then again, Florida, I've done good in Florida. I love Okeechobee.
Florida.
So, I don't know. I'm looking forward to the whole schedule, the whole 2025 season. I think it'll be a good year.
You know, what excites me about Florida is any cast can be a 10-pounder.
That's a fact.
Just like fishing, you know, Sam Rayburn, Toledo Bend, O.H. Ivy. Oh, my God. Any cast can be a 13-pounder there.
Yep.
Just
it's
exciting.
cool going places like that. I enjoy fishing new places. So I'm looking forward to the whole season next year.
You know, I'm excited for you, man. I'm going to be following your career here now. Now that I finally got to meet, well, I'm glad I was introduced to you, man. You know, I'm really glad I apologize that the podcast, I can't do anything about the technical problems.
Oh, no. That's all good. I enjoyed it.
I actually had myself on, you know, I was hardwired into it, and now I'm Wi-Fi, and I'm doing much better. I don't know how that works. But anyways, I'm not going to try to talk about that. Not going to waste any more time. Do you have any shout-outs you'd like to do?
I just want to thank everybody that, you know, helped me get to where I am. Delta Lures, Busby, everybody who ever supported me along the way. And thank y'all, and just keep fishing.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. And Fred King, thank you very much for the...
Thank you, Fred. Thank you.
Guys, Clotilde Cast, Joshua, and Steve, please send me a text via Facebook Messenger, and I will get you in contact with Fred King for a few Delta lures. Please, guys, do that. I'm seeing Steve just David just said good luck next season. David Zambolio. Steve Kissler said Elizabeth City in North Carolina is an elite stop in May. Big bass will be caught during that tournament.
Looking forward to it.
I bet. You know what, guys? Thank you so much for being patient with the technical problems we had here. This was a great podcast. We had a lot of people in here. We had a lot of great questions. Man, thank you so much for coming in, Logan. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Logan, please stick around after the podcast. I'm going to end the podcast with that, guys. You know what? It's Wednesday. We got a hurricane barreling down on us over in Florida. But you know what? With the pressure changing like that and getting low, I've caught a lot of fish in those kind of conditions. I'm not saying go fishing with the hurricane barreling down on you, but it's not barreling down on us here in Louisiana. So get out there and fish, guys. Remember, you only get to do this life once. Have fun. Okay, I'm going to end the podcast with that, guys. Thank you for a great podcast.